All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Will County Board meeting for June 15th, 2023. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
We do the pledge and everything first? You want me just to call the roll?
Wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry. You're right. I don't know. God, I got excited there. I'm sorry, yeah.
I can certainly.
Calling this meeting to order. Mark Revis, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and introduce the clergy?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I don't have clergy for today, so we're going to do a quick little prayer. Lord, as we plan and share here together now, may you guide us by your Holy Spirit and lead us into all truth. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlattman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Winfrey. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
With 21 members present, we have a quorum. I need a motion to place on file. There's no motion for me. I need a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Motion by Mitchell. Seconded by Ogala. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Yes. Trainier. Yes. Dean Schlattman. Yes. Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel. Yes. Butler. Yes. Newquist. Yes. Richmond. Yes. Parker. Yes. Williams. Yes. Diaz. Yes. Coleman. Yes. Logan. Yes. Freeman. Yes. Revis. Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Ortiz. Yes. Berkowitz. Yes. Mueller. Yes. Costa. Ogala.
21 affirmative, the motion carries. I now approve the meeting minutes for the May 18th, 2023 board meeting. Motion by Mueller. Second by Dean Schlattman. Previous roll call by Van Dyne, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, will you please acknowledge elected officials and media present?
Sorry. Today we have County Executive Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant, County Clerk Lawrence Daly Ferry, and Coroner Lori Summers, and no media.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments for today's agenda items? So for today's agenda items only, is there any public comment? If you do, you can come up here. And just so you know, this is different from our public hearing. If you're here for a land use case, that's a public hearing. So this is public comment for any on their agendas. And that'll come, if it's land use, it'll come in a little bit. All right, yep. All right. Anyone else for public comment on the public comment for agenda items? Yeah, not land use issues. Zoning, we'll have a public hearing. Yeah. This gentleman, are you coming up for public comment or land use as well? All right, I'm assuming we're all here. All right. Okay. Land use, you can come up here now. If you're not a land use issue, or you can come up to the microphone. Yeah, just a general public comment. Yeah, please come up. Yeah. I know we have a lot of opportunity. If you, yep, you're right there. If you can state your name, and we have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'd like to thank you all for allowing me this time to speak with you. Please bear with me, this is my first time doing anything like this, but I felt the need that this need to be said. While I am grateful to you that you removed the hate group Moms for America from the proclamations, I am hurt that
Ma'am, you know what,
the
I'm going
board-
to have you wait till the end of the meeting.
Oh, for
And I'm
this one?
sorry to do
Okay,
that, yeah,
that's
because
fine.
this is only for agenda items.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine, I know it's new, so I'm sorry. Yeah, we like to provide a lot of opportunity to hear the public, so we structure them at different times. So any agenda item. Sir, Daniel, sorry. Sorry. All resolutions and ordinance from the May 18th, 2023 board meeting have been signed and returned. We will now move on to new business. Frankie Pretzel will make we need a motion.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing for all land use cases.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gala. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Yes. Trainier. Yes. Dean Schlottman. Yes. Van Dyne. Yes. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Yes. Newquist. Yes. Richmond. Yes. Parker. Yes. Williams. Yes. Diaz. Yes. Coleman. Yes. Logan. Yes. Freeman. Yes. Revis. Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Ortiz. Yes. Berkowitz. Yes. Mueller. Yes. Costa. O'Gala.
We are now in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once the land use public hearing is closed. So if you have comments regarding public hearing, you can please come up. Please state your name for the record.
Hear me? Okay. My name is Kerry Van Allen. I have a company called GeoEnviro Consultants. I'm actually the owner and the president. I'm also a licensed professional geologist for Illinois. I'm here on behalf of the applicant for a case ZC 23-013. Really, I just want to emphasize today that the applicant and their consultants have addressed all the conditions that were required by the county, as well as the responses that we received from various agencies. More specifically, I want to just bring up the fact that we have a response letter to a letter from the Forest District, March 29th, that they sent to us. They had 7 conditions. And on April 17th, we actually did respond to the Forest District. We feel that we've met all the requirements. I'm here today really to just take some more questions, technical questions on any concerns that the board members and the committee may have regarding their letter. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can we ask them to turn the volume up on the speakers a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
We need you to be closer to the microphone or speak up.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was it, yeah. Thank you.
That's it?
That's all good? Yep. Julie, do you have, I'm sorry, County Board Member Berkowitz?
I do. So there might be a little miscommunication. I did receive confirmation from the Forest Reserve from Ralph Schultz that they are not aware of compliance with the requirements and the recommendations that they've made in the letter. They're aware that the applicant confirmed that they received appropriate permits from IEPA, but other than that, there is no, the Forest Preserve is not aware that those items are going to be complied with.
I'll let him answer.
So that was confirmed by the Forest Preserve. So as I made that motion only to make sure that we consider the environmental issues on this site, and it appears that there's still an issue.
County Board
Did they
Member
have any
Trinier?
specific?
Yes.
Hold on.
Can we assume, based on their testimony, that they're now agreeing to these things? Because they seem to put it out there that they do. So even though they've not responded to a letter, I mean, is their testimony as good as they're saying yes in a letter?
Do we like to have staff come up here? I can't answer that, or Frank,
Okay.
could
I mean,
Chairman
I
know
do
we have
have
an
some
answer to
state's
this?
attorney people in the
Yeah.
audience here. Maybe they can.
Maybe,
Yes.
let's say the chairman to see if maybe he has talked to some, do you have a response to this before?
I don't.
Okay.
I think that would be a question for the applicant. Did you hear the question?
Well, the question I have is, did they have any specific concerns with the Illinois EPA-approved stormwater pollution prevention plan? We did send that to the county, Will County, as well, to amend that, and they,
Yes. And those are all itemized. And I think to be, just to avoid the confusion, they should just be added into the conditions that staff recommends.
Yeah, we can certainly consider that, I would think.
so we do have an approved plan from the EPA, which was also forwarded to the Will County. And our geotech consultant has indicated that the county has approved the stormwater pollution prevention plan that was also approved by EPA.
This is the letter that was sent to you by the Will County Forest Preserve.
This is the letter she's so.
Yes, yes, we're addressing our letter March 29th.
Yeah.
And we did send them comment for all their concerns, and they had 6 weeks to respond. We didn't hear anything. 6 weeks.
The Forest Preserve provided you all with a list of concerns.
That's correct.
What are you doing to make sure that you address that list?
Well, first of all, we have to follow the stormwater pollution prevention plan to the T. We cannot deviate 1 inch from that plan. And everything that we've done to this development, we've done all the assurances to make sure that no pollutants are going to enter groundwater. The district wanted to make sure that we had grit collectors on our manholes for the catch basins that are in the parking lot, which are all paved and graded to catch all runoff. The pavement is going to be curbed with concrete all the way around. So whatever runoff we have is going to be controlled and cleaned by these grit collectors before they hit the detention basin. And so we don't have any concern for runoff on this property. And the property is going to be developed only on the north half. So, and much of the property is going to be vegetated with and seeded with grass for low maintenance. So they're going to have plenty of area, plenty of compensation for runoff infiltration onto the property. And then inside, we have plenty of assurances too. They have an oil water separator. They have floor drains that are kind of connected to the oil water separator. So everything will be managed as far as wash waters in the work bays. Any waste oils are going to be collected and put in DOT-approved drums on a secondary pad within the building, and they'll have licensed recyclers to manage that waste as well.
County
And
Board
no
Member Butler.
earthwork will be done outside the boundary. That was another condition that they had. So we would only work right up to the property line. The closest we get to their line is the detention basin, which will have a berm. So that's about as close as we're going to get to the district's property.
County Board Member Butler.
Okay.
You were
So
not.
are you representing them as the engineering company?
I am.
Okay.
I've been with the applicant from the beginning when they bought the property. And I've been working with other consultants, geotech,
Thank you.
architect, and land
Thank you.
developer.
So I guess what we're concerned with is we would like that you to check that the points that the Forest Preserve has addressed in its letter comply with both their requirements and the EPA.
Absolutely.
And when that's done, I feel like you will get a much more favorable response.
Absolutely. I will stay engaged on this project to the end. I'll make sure that's what we do.
Thank you.
I'm going to have our legal counsel, Mary Tatro, speak.
Discuss, with regard to some of these things, but most of the things in the Forest Preserve letter, they are already legally obligated to comply with either under state law or county ordinance. So there, from that perspective, there is not a need to add those as additional conditions because they're already required to comply with it. There are, I believe, two, and this is where I would look to land use, that really aren't required, and they are the last two. It is, please provide the landscape plan with a complete species list to the real estate manager, Sarah Witchen. And the other is to request notice 72 hours before construction commences. I think those are the only two that are not already addressed either by county ordinance or state statute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Did anyone else need to, okay. I'm going to also add, if you, when you state your name, if you could state the case as well.
Good morning. My name is Dave Nelson. I'm president of Ducere LLC. The case number ZC 23023. We are developing a pipe to barge terminal in between Lockport and Romeoville in unincorporated Will County, and have been working on this project for about 10 years. The project is part of the energy transition that I'm sure you've all heard about. We're reducing our use of fossil fuels and moving to new fuels. And one of the challenges is, how do we do that transition? So we've been working on this for a while. And what sort of without our project, what will happen is refineries in the Midwest will reduce their refinery runs, and that oil will end up going on to rail cars. And we've seen this happen in the past, and it's going to happen in a big way. And so what we thought is we have an underutilized waterway, a very safe way to transport oil. So as the refineries in the Midwest, instead of having unit trains, which is 100-car unit trains, go across Will County, how about we just take it off the pipe, which we already have the capacity to, and put it on the barges and run it down to refineries on the Gulf Coast and further away. But so that's what our project is about. The capacity of our project would remove up to 9 full unit trains a day. So 9 unit trains with 100 cars each running through Will County, and then the empties coming back. So it would be 18 unit trains a day running through the county. I think that's a bad idea. Our project is very, barge traffic is very quiet. One Sunday morning, I went down to see my barges at a dock, and I was standing next to the canal and wondering where they were, because they weren't at the dock. And a guy said good morning to me, and he was like 10 feet away on the front end of a 1,000-foot tow of barges. And it scared me out of my wits, frankly. But barge traffic is very quiet. To describe it a little bit more, each of the barges they have now are double skinned, so it's not a single skin. There's 3 foot between the outer wall of the barge that the water's against and the oil. So it's a tank within a tank, essentially. And every shift, a crew member looks in the hatch and makes sure that there's no liquid in that void space between. So every 8 hours, you have somebody looking in to make sure that no water's leaking in or no oil's leaking out to that void space. So it's very safe. Rail transport, we've heard a lot about challenges of transporting liquids. We're keen on getting this project going. It's been 10 years we've been working on it. We're keen to get it going sooner rather than later because there's still, with the pipeline systems being chock-a-block full right now, there's still occasion where we have the industry is moving via rail, and we'd like to take that rail traffic off and get on to barges. We have strong support. We'll have over 100 union jobs as we build the project. The trades are very excited about it. I've had a chance to present the project to the trades here in Newell County, and they'd like to get to work on this project as well. The pipeline itself is that we need to build is a 2-mile pipe to the terminal, and then at the terminal we're just going to build some barge docks. Special use is required, and I think also there's a very south end, which is just a road, was historically zoned agriculture, so that's going to an I-1 designation. I think that's the matters that are in front of the board in this case. I guess that's really all I have. Happy to answer any questions. If there's anything comes up, we'd like to get going because we'd like to keep that oil in pipe and barges instead of instead of the rail cars. So,
County Board Member Freeman.
Good morning. I'm probably going to say some words I never dreamt would come out of my mouth before I became a county board member. I did sit in on a pipe fitters training. That was the words, because that's just not anything I dreamt I'd be doing. But there is some concern about leakage, about contamination. What are the safety features you have in place for the county board members that maybe didn't sit through a pipe fitters training?
Yeah. So this pipe will be extremely safe because of a number of technical things. I'll just sort of touch on a few. Number one, we're going to test this pipe at well over 1,000 pounds hydrostatic. So we'll fill it with water and pressure it up to make sure it can hold over 1,000 pounds. Basically, this section of pipe, the 2 miles we're talking about, will operate at less than 100 pounds. So for folks that are in this industry, typically you do it at 10 to 15% over operating pressure. We're going to be like 10 times over operating pressure. So that in and of itself should say, gosh, there's a huge safety factor. Over half of this pipe is going to be drilled through bedrock. So it's essentially going to be a pipe within a pipe. So we'll actually drill the pipe. Most of it, will be 30, 40 foot below the ground in rock. The drilling technology today is way better than it was before. So a lot of the pipes in Will County and frankly around this canal actually go over the canal. So it's exposed to elements. We're going to drill underneath the canal by notionally 20 to 30 feet. And so we're not going to be impacted by the elements and that sort of thing. So that makes it more safe. And then finally, we're going to operate this pipeline locally. We'll have a 24/7 operation there on the canal, and we'll monitor it. So we'll have people monitoring the entire 2-mile section. If we have any pressure, there's pressure gauges along the way that feed into the control room. If there's any sort of anomalies on pressure, we'll shut it down immediately, and we're right here to go take a look and see if there's any issues. The most common issue is external hits on pipelines. So the fact that half of it's over like 30 foot deep, external hits are highly unlikely, and the fact that we're going to be driving this pipeline right away and actually being able to see basically the entire right of way all the time, it's unlikely the construction crew is going to be able to sneak in there and dig a hole and ding the pipe, which is, like I say, the most common reason for leaks.
Thank you. And I had a couple questions in there, but you answered all of them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you. Yep, we do. So hold on. County Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you, Madam Executive. My question is, there was some concern with some of the board members about this project. Is this project time sensitive? I know you've been working on this for the past 10 years. Is there a permit process that would push you back quite a bit, or is there any chance that you can wait another month for more information?
We've been waiting for a long time on the project.
Sure.
there is nothing that in the next month or something we're gonna go off the end of some permit. So I don't have that. What I would say is, every month we wait to build this project is another month of rail traffic that, you know, is at risk. I think we're just better off getting this built. But as far as a sort of a date that we're, you know, something can't build it, no. The permits we have right now, which took a long time to get between the Army Corps, Illinois Department of Natural Resources, the various EPA entities, as well as a number of local permits, none of them are near expiration, so.
County Board Member Mitchell?
So there was an oil spill in Romeoville some time ago. Were the same protections in place then as will be now? And what's different between then and now?
Well, that was, what happened there, just for everybody's, it wasn't our company, just to be clear. A water pipe was built right next to this, to an oil pipe, which, you know, from a pipeline, it's a bad idea, right? So what happened was that water pipe sprung a leak and basically power blasted the metal oil pipe until the metal oil pipe gave way. I mean, that's physically what happened, and then the oil pipe leaked, and then it was shut down. Fortunately, the oil was largely all captured in a retention pond, and it was cleaned up. You know, cost a lot of money, but that's what happened. So the big difference, as I mentioned, most of our pipe is going to be 30, 40 feet underground. So over half of this 2-mile piece of pipe, you're not going to be building another pipe anywhere near it. And the other important thing I mentioned is that we're local here, and we're going to be looking at that pipe all the time. So nobody's going to sneak and build a pipe next to our pipe. It's not going to happen, again, because we're going to be looking at this pipe. Most of the pipe will have video monitors on it all the time, and we'll also drive it every day. So just to make sure that nobody's, in that case, it was just a local warehouse needed water supply. They built a water pipe up and put it right next to the oil pipe. That's a bad idea, and it won't happen in this case. So,
County Board Member Mueller?
Hi.
Hi.
How long does it take to complete this? So, I mean, how long will it be until this isn't going down the rail?
It takes about a year to build this. We have to build a couple tanks, and that's the longest thing in the process. The pipeline actually will take, you know, sort of six months-ish,
Okay.
plus or minus a month or two.
But it's about a year to complete.
But a year overall for the project, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
County Board Member Ortiz?
Hi, are you at all involved with the company who was responsible for the Romeoville oil spill?
I apologize. I didn't quite hear that.
With this project, are you at all involved with the company who was responsible for the Romeoville oil spill?
We are, in a sense, that the oil that we'll transport does come off their pipeline. So, you know, as another company in the industry, we're involved that way. But I'm not. I don't have any investment in it. I don't have any other agreement with that company.
County Board Member Diaz?
I want to clarify, then would that make you a subcontractor like to the other company then?
No, we're an independent company. I own the company 100% today. Now, I'm going to fund the project, I'll have some investment money come in that will, you know, I won't own 100%, but it is my project. I've been in this industry for 40 years, and this, you know, I want the industry to end right. This is kind of my baby. People have joked to me that this is my Walmart greeter job. It kind of is. I want this thing to end right, and this is one way to transition out of fuels, and this is one of the things I want to do, kind of before I just play golf more. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Doesn't look
thank
any
you.
more
Appreciate
questions.
your time.
Yep. You know what? Ma'am, do you want to speak right there? Are you okay? Okay, all right. All right. You. Yeah, please state, nope, just state your name, and if you have the case number, that's helpful. Thank you.
My name is Sandy Brzezinski. The case number I'm talking about is the ZC 23-023 that the gentleman, Mr. Nelson, who was just up here speaking. First and foremost, I belong with the CARE group. I don't know if many of you realize what the Citizens Against Ruining the Environment is. We've been around for like 27 years now. But not only that, this is a real special situation for me because Mr. Nelson told you that this is unincorporated Lockport or this is Romeoville. This is, if you go over the 9th Street Bridge, you look to your left and to your right, there's grain elevators. That's the property that they want to put this terminal in. Now, when you go over that 9th Street Bridge, okay, they're to the west of the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. You look to the east, and pretty much right across where this is going to go, they mention in the documentation, oh, there's all this industry, there's all the manufacturing, but what's really not, they kind of pass over the residential. There's one of the oldest neighborhoods in Lockport, that's where I live, that will be right across from there. Right across from this facility, if you vote for this. I have some comments as far as, I know a couple questions were asked, and I find it amusing that DeSere maintains that, okay, you guys aren't middleman for Enbridge. I found a letter that was dated September 5th, 2019, to some secretary of the commission in Canada. And they're worrying about Enbridge Mainline open season. In my opinion, from what I'm reading, they're totally connected with Enbridge. Here's the thing, throughout Will County, most of you know, there's pipelines throughout this whole county. Why do we need to establish another pipeline that's gonna destroy, in all likelihood, in my opinion, not only people's lives, animals, you have right down by, you have the prairie underneath the 9th Street, and then keep going further, you end up in, I call it the Noah's Ark of the emerald green dragonflies. So you run the risk of potentially destroying that habitat, and once it's gone, it's gone. But not only that, the thing I found alarming to me, where is the environmental study or statement or any type of study done to determine what's going on here? In my opinion, this DeSere is connected to Enbridge. How many other pipelines are connected in here? And if you know, you can put all the safety, and you can stand there and look at a pipeline and put everything, all the safety measures in the world, and it's not going to protect. Once there's a leak, it's done. You're going to have all these barges now, much more barges on that Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. You have the locks further down. That's going to create a mess because you know yourself going on I-80 or going with all the truck traffic and everything. The more traffic, the more trucks, the higher incidence of accidents. So in my opinion, you're just waiting for an accident to happen. The biggest thing for me is the environmental, the pipelines that are involved, are they Enbridge, the tanks that they want to build, the future of that property, how long is DeSere going to be involved in this, the liability, who's going to be accountable to with this. I mean, I just have so many questions and concerns over this, and especially with my little neighborhood that's pretty much directly across from there. Take a ride over there and you'll see what I'm talking about. When they mention Romeoville, this is across from Lockport. And I don't know where the signs or where, I learned of this less than 24 hours ago. And I've been trying to do research. And it's just, I mean, in my opinion, this is crazy. You know, I know Mr. Nelson got up here and he painted a picture like, you know, they're going to be this, they're going to do this, we're going to have people looking over. How many pipelines have leaked in Will County in the past 10 years, 20 years? There have been many. And once it leaks, it destroys. It just destroys habitats. And to say that this will not impact somebody's life, I don't know who wrote this permit to basically say, it's staff's professional opinion that establishing manufacturing and industrial services general at this location will not be detrimental to or endanger public's health, safety, morals, comfort of general welfare. How do you make a statement like this, that this isn't going to affect somebody's life, let alone the animals or the different endangered species? I mean, to me, to vote for this is irresponsible. I mean, I would ask that you do not vote for this. To a certain extent, I'm at a loss for words. And if you know me very well, I'm never at a loss for words. I'm always talking about something. But this is really, really a major, major concern for not only the care group, for myself. I live down there. I live across from there. And just remember, I would hope that we would have more of an opportunity to speak. I know this is the public hearing, but this is not good enough. Like I say, I just heard about this less than 24 hours ago. And I would ask that, the one other big question I did want to ask, would this proposal be allowed without the excessive 18 variances that is in this proposal? Would this even be allowed if they didn't get the 18 variances? Because to me, I started out, not with an environmental group, I started out with a zoning case. And to give this many variances is totally unacceptable. I mean, and as far as, well, he's been working on it 10 years. I don't care how long he's been working on it, you know? I mean, I really don't. I mean, I don't think you should either. What are these people bringing to the table? What are they bringing for the voters in this county? I mean, I mean, you know, they have a good way to say things, but look at everything. Go over the 9th Street Bridge. If you're not familiar with Lockport, this is across from Lockport, not Romeoville, Lockport. My neighborhood it's called the West Side. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods. Come to my house. You want to talk to me? Come to my house. I'll give you my phone number. But the only thing, I don't want to take up any more time. I want to end by saying I question the whole relevance of this entire proposal and ask that you vote a resounding no. Thank you.
Thank you.
If he has rebuttal, I want rebuttal too.
Sandy, we've talked before in Lockport several years ago.
Yeah.
And I gave you my phone number. I've not heard any concerns since that time, but appreciate your concerns. What I would say on the, Enbridge is a major, in fact, it's probably the largest infrastructure company in North America. They were in front of the Canada Energy Regulator on a commercial matter in the industry, and I did testify at that Canadian regulator process, as did most of the major oil companies testified as well. So that was I just want to address one of the things you read off, and yes, my testimony was in there, but it was related to commercial items, not any
But
environmental.
it's related to that open,
We
Yeah,
can't
an
have,
open
you
season.
can't have, you
Yeah.
do debate in there, you talk
Yeah,
to the.
anyway,
to
I just
the
want to
members.
make that clear. And as I mentioned to Sandy in the past, when we've spoken, last at the Lockport meeting where Lockport City Council approved this measure unanimously, that, look, I want this thing to be, we don't want to have any leaks, we don't want to have any safety concerns, and if she identifies any safety concerns, give me a call. So, and I have not gotten a call since that meeting, which was several years ago. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Yes, hold on, they may have questions, so stay put. You came back up, so now you may have questions again, so you have to stay up there. So we have some questions, I will call you by order, yep. County Board Member Butler.
Thank you. Okay, can you address the environmental concerns that she had? And also, can you address what sort of buffer zone between their community and your project there would be, you know, and how this would be less impactful for them? Can you explain or just address those two issues?
Yeah, so Sandy's right. The community she's in Lockport is, I think, was developed when the oil refinery was built there around 1910 or so. And so most of the homes there were associated with the Texaco oil refinery that shut down in 1980. Our project is across the canal. So the canal itself was started up in 1900, and it's a raised canal. So the water, you know, on that canal is raised, you know, quite a ways up. So the natural buffer between our project and Sandy's community is this raised up canal. So much, you know, unless you sort of climb up, we're on the 9th Street Bridge. If you're on the 9th Street Bridge, you can see the whole thing. You can see where our project is, where there currently are dilapidated grain silos, both north and south of 9th Street. But that canal creates the buffer between where we're going to be loading oil. Just to address the variances, you know, there's two reasons for those primary reasons for those variances. One is, you know, to load oil, we have to have a dock on the edge of the property. So to build up the edge of the property, you need a variance. So that's part of it. The other part is we have to have security on the site, which since 9/11 has been a much bigger thing. So this is a MARSEC facility. It's marine security. It's part of Department of Transportation, marine security. And so everybody on this site will have to have a transportation worker identification card or a TWIC card, and they have to have background checks, et cetera, to make sure that they're safe. So anyway.
So are you saying that you cannot see your refinery from their community? You'd have to go to the bridge to see it?
It depends where you're at. You know, in the summertime, for sure, you can't see it because of the trees. In the wintertime, I think there might be some houses you can see if you're standing, if you're on our
Okay.
property. So
And
I don't think
then,
there's a.
and then the concerns for the environmental impact? Could you comment on that?
Oh, well, first of all, we're building a facility that we're designed to make sure there is no, you know, environmental impact. I mean, that's the primary thing. We talked about how we're building the pipeline, the quality standards we're building it to far exceed, you know, the standards. So both from a pressure and how we're building it, it's a much higher level of safety than the other pipelines. And once again, the leak that occurred in 2010 was captured and cleaned up. I don't think there was any long-term impact from it. I know Sandy says, you know, all these terrible things are going to happen. I don't think in that case it was cleaned up. I think there's no long-term impact on that one.
Okay, so, you know, as far as running the line, but the rest of it's underground, the tanks are underground?
No, tanks are above ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are animals allowed to run freely? Is this going to, you know, interrupt a lot of, you know, natural vegetation? Other than that, once the project's over, above ground, how is everything affected?
So there's a fence around our project, so generally, wildlife is not going to be inside the fence line. I mean, birds can fly in, but generally it's not going to be inside the fence line. And we've had a number of studies on what endangered species might be in the area, and we're going to take steps during construction to make sure that we're protecting the site so that we don't impact it. The emerald dragonflies, as Sandy mentioned out, there's a couple turtles species that we want to watch out for. And so whether they're endangered species, what we'll do on the site is just make sure that they don't get on the site during construction, and then once we build the fence line, we'll generally be keeping the wildlife off the site in total.
Thank you.
Okay.
County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. And for the commissioners, I'm going to refer to page 28, the Soil and Water Conservation District report. So the bluff you described, I believe this might be in reference to it. It says, one of their comments said that a floodplain and floodway exists on the parcel. A freshwater forested shrub wetland does exist on the parcel as well as river/lake. So my question is for you and staff. Staff, has this been included in the conditions for the permit? And are you willing to work with the county on a conservation plan to maintain and improve that and
Yeah, so as part of the permitting, actually, for the Army Corps, there was a pit that was more of an industrial pit that hasn't been used for so many years, but they call it a wetland. And so what we have done is purchased wetland credits. So in the Lily Cache wetlands, we bought so that we can fill that in because it's right in the middle of the property, and it's frankly just it was a low spot in the property. So that one we're filling. All the wetlands on the west side of the property that exist today have frankly been cleaned up. They were previously, one of them was previously used as some sort of pit, so it's been cleaned up. And so on the site itself, we're not going to have on the inside the fence line, we won't have wetlands, but where there are existing wetlands that will be stayed, it will certainly keep those up. And everything on our operation, we have a dike around, right? So in the event that there is a spill, it's diked. We understand the forest preserve that's west of our property across the Des Plaines River. Structurally, we're going to build everything that it is captured within the dike wall, and to the extent that there would be a spill, again, this is about third or fourth order. It would end up in the canal, not the Des Plaines River. Because I agree with Sandy, that's a special area. We want to make darn sure that nothing ever could go that direction. As far as the floodplain, I guess there's some corners of the property that they say are in the floodplain. This is 30 foot or more higher than everything around there. So, I mean, Sandy's area, virtually all the houses are going to be underwater if we have a flood that hits that high. So I struggle with the designation. It's technically there, but it's a small corner of a few feet on our property. But I don't really think the floodplain per se is going to be a problem, again, because this is all elevated by quite a distance.
I believe that was addressed in the conditions, so if it isn't, if land use can inform us, but other than that, it appears that you're.
We'll address all those,
Thank
again,
you.
between the conditions and all the major permits between the Army Corps and the IDNR.
County Board Member Revis?
You mentioned in your initial comments about the train traffic and how a project such as yours would reduce train traffic in Will County. You used some figures, I can't quite remember what they were. But my question is that for one specific rail line, or is it for rail lines throughout all the communities in Will County? I know I represent Plainfield, and our nickname is Trainfield. We have so many trains coming through. Is this something that would reduce train traffic all across Will County, or just in a couple communities?
The specific train companies that would likely carry most of it, and again, each of the shippers can use whatever carrier they want, but given where the demand is on the Gulf Coast and given where the oil supply is in Canada and North Dakota, much of it will go on either CN or CP. And those, again, in your community, if you have CN or CP, then those are likely to be the railroads that will carry those unit trains. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify where we're at, and what Mr. Nelson said, he is higher, but look at it from the point of view, like, if you take out the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal, and you push his property will abut my neighborhood. So if you take that out, that they will abut each other. And to say with the trains, I understand the trains, believe me. We have trains, we have BNSF and we have Canadian National, constant. And to make Mr. Nelson says this is going to limit truck and train traffic. I don't believe that. And I don't think anybody in this room believes that. with the amount of traffic that we have throughout this county. And to make a claim like that, what I always say to whether industry or whatever, put it in writing. Put it in writing and say you're not going to have the train traffic, you're not going to have the truck. You're using this to try to get this pushed through. The other thing that Mr. Nelson stated was the city of Lockport had agreed to this. He's right, they did. I was there for those meetings and basically fought to stop that. But they, at that time, they thought this was something good. They were getting some money for it, and they were getting some money towards, I believe, a quiet zone. And I live in the area that I've been fighting for 27 years to get a quiet zone. And what I told that city council and I told the mayor, I do not want to sell out. I've been dealing with the trains and the noise for how many years? I do not want to sell out for a quiet zone, and now I've got a oil pipeline. So the only thing I would ask is, they made a bad decision by doing that. I just hope that you guys are smarter than they are, and you make the right decision and not allow this terminal. Thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz, you're still on. Do you have anything additional to add? All right. You can't do that. We're in public hearing, and you already spoke. So, is there any other comments today about any of the other land use any other land use issues? Hey, any other land uses who need to speak today? Once, twice, three times. We need a motion to get. Motion by Berkowitz to close public hearing, seconded by Parker. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
21. 21, the affirmative. The public hearing is now closed. Chair. Yeah. Chair Pretzel?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's
right.
that?
We are up. You are up. We're back in you are up now.
Thank you, Madam
Yeah.
Executive. First up, we have a zoning case ZC 22037, Stanislaw Chataski Nedza, owner of record, and Stephen Patterson of Erdo Werewaz LLC, attorney for property in Frankfort Township, commonly known as 9920 West 187th Street, Mokina, Illinois, County Board District Number 4. This has actually been continued to August 8th, so I believe we can just skip past it. We don't need to make.
I think we need a motion to remove from the agenda.
I would make that motion.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Mueller, second by Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
All right, thank you. Number 2, zoning case ZC 22084, Mark R. Baumgartner and Doris J. Baumgartner, owner of record, Neil Piggish of Piggish Engineering, Inc., agent requesting zoning map amendment from A1 to E2 for 15.17 acres of northeast corner for property in Will County Township, commonly known as the southwest corner of South Egyptian Trail and Corning Road, Peatone, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. I do want to point out that land use amended this from A1. I'm sorry, the amendment was from E2 to E1. So it's now, we're voting on land use case from A1 to E1. And it did pass land use 6-0. So the original request, and this is kind of complicated because it's confusing on the agenda. The original request was for 3 5-acre parcels. I'm sorry, the original request was for 5 3-ish acre parcels, and they changed that to 3 5-acre parcels. So my understanding is to make it less work for the petitioner, they just kept the original agenda and we amended it during committee. So if that makes any sense, I would make that motion to approve this from A1 to E1.
All Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. Any discussion? Previous roll by Revis, seconded by Costa. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for bearing with me through that. Zoning case, number 3, zoning case ZC 22098, T&J Manhattan Investments LLC, owner of record Tim Ryan, agent, requesting special use permit for the construction, sales, and service for property in Wilton Township, commonly known as 29860 South 120th Avenue, Peatone, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. First, we have, Planning and Zoning and Land Use approved this special use permit, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Trenier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4, zoning case ZC 23008, Edward F. Patricia S. Schwegler, Living Trust, owner of record, and Phil McAllister, agent Gary Davidson of Castle Law LLC, attorney. This request is for property in Wheatland Township, commonly known as 26165 111th Street, Plainfield, County Board District Number 8. The request is for a zoning map amendment from A1 to I1 and a special use permit for self-service storage facility with outdoor storage for recreational vehicles. PZC and Land Use approved the map amendment, and I so move.
Map and special use, that's what you have as well?
That is correct.
Okay, so we have a motion for the map amendment. Is there a second? Seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And now for the special use permit for self-service storage facility with outdoor storage for recreational vehicles, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Costa, seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5, zoning case ZC 23012, Amico Remediation Management Services LLC, owner of record Brian Quinlan of Plains Solar Energy Center LLC, agent, requesting special use permit for solar farm and for property in Shanahan Township, commonly known as Utility Amico Road, Shanahan, Illinois, County Board District Number 1. PZC and Land Use approved the special use permit for a solar farm with 15 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, zoning case ZC 23013, Ocean City Logistics, Inc., owner of record Dimitar Bosevsky of Logistics Network Group Limited, applicant and Valsa George of Coldwell Banker Realty, agent, requesting special use permit for a truck terminal in Joliet Township, commonly known as South Cherry Hill Road, Joliet, Illinois, County Board District Number 6. PZC and Land Use approved the special use permit for a truck terminal with 11 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Mueller. Any discussion? County Board Member Trenier.
Yes, Madam Executive, I would like to amend this to add the 2 conditions that were read by our state's attorney from the Forest Preserve, to include those in the special conditions to move this forward.
Motion by Jackie Trenier, seconded by Ogala. Any discussion on that piece? Okay. The previous roll call? No, sorry, you have a question? County Board Member Mueller.
I just wanted to let folks know, I'm the president of the Forest Preserve, in case the folks who are doing this didn't know. But I checked in with the Forest Preserve staff before this meeting, and they had indicated to me that this project, as long as the conditions that they laid out were being met, they were happy, they were fine with this project. When we get to the pipeline, I'll tell you what I know about that. Thanks.
May I say something?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Just providing a landscape plan with a species list and providing 72 hours notice before construction.
Okay, so we're going to vote now on the amended motion. Is there a previous roll call? Previous by Newquist, seconded by Diaz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We're good? Okay, number 7.
No, you approve as, I'm sorry, approve as amended
that was
now. I'm
okay.
sorry, yep, yep.
Yep. So I'd like to make the motion as amended for the
Motion by-
special use permit.
Yep, sorry. Motion by Pretzel. Seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Trinier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, number 7, zoning case ZC 23016, Diane L. Washburn, owner of record, and William Washburn, attorney, requesting a zoning map amendment from A1 to R2 for property in Troy Township, commonly known as 25104 Sale Road, Shorewood, Illinois, County Board District Number 1. PZC and land use approved the map amendment from A1 to R2, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Costa, seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to number 8, zoning case ZC 23023, Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, owner of record Ducir LLC, Dave Nelson, applicant for property in Lockport Township, commonly known as 18500 9th Street, Romeoville, Illinois, County Board District Number 5 and Number 9. This request is for a zoning map amendment from A1 to I1 for 15.05, part of a parcel, 3 special use permits for manufacturing and industrial services for various parcels, and 18 variances. PZC and land use approved the map amendment from A1 to I1, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Newquist. We have discussion here. County Board Member Revis.
I just want to say real quick, I'm looking at the agenda. This went to the Planning and Zoning Commission 5 times, came out without anybody voting against it. Then it went to Land Use and Development 4 times. So, I think Dave, speaking on behalf of this project, laid out the concerns and successfully objected to them, and why why we should support this project. I'm going to be supporting this. I encourage everyone else to do so.
Thank you. County Board Member Ortiz.
Yes, so this project is in my district. I know we heard a lot about it today, but I think that it is something that the residents are concerned about because a lot of them thought that it wasn't going to be passed. This has been something that they've been dealing with for a long time, as you heard. These people have been in contact for many years. My concern is that new people who have probably moved into the neighborhood or people who were just generally unaware when this originally was going on have no idea that this is going to be happening. And I think other people, environmentalists in the area, have questions and just want to be 100% sure that their concerns are addressed. I understand that the pipeline owners who had the spill previously are not involved with this new project, but I think that for the residents to be able to hear it would calm some nerves. And there was one more thing that I was going to say, but I think that as the gentleman spoke here, said that it wasn't going to hurt if we did postpone it one more month. I think it's better to be safe than sorry and make sure that all of our concerns are addressed before we just push this through. So I'm going to make a motion to remand this back to committee, and I hope that you all will support me in that. Thank you.
A motion to remand the case back to committee. There's second by Ogala. Any discussion on the remand back to committee? So if you have a lot of buttons to press, so take them off if you have a motion to, all right. Now, we have discussion. County Board Member Mueller on the remand.
Thank you. On the remand, I just want to let folks know before this goes back to a committee that, again, I talked with the Forest Preserve staff before this meeting, and they had indicated to me that they felt this pipeline was the preferable way, in their eyes, to transport this out of the county. So, and they also indicated they'd been working on this for a few years with the companies as well. So I just wanted to make folks aware of that, that piece of the conversation. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. County Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you. Even though I do think this is a safe way to transport oil, I do understand that they've been working on it for quite a while, and it has seen committee and planning and zoning quite many times. In respect to our fellow board member who lives in the district, her request to take an additional month to get some concerns answered, I would be willing to remand it back, but I do feel that this project is favorable. Thank you.
Just press, we have a lot of County Board Member Berkowitz.
Well, I'm not.
Hold on before we start. There's an order when you press, it just comes up in an order here, so you're all. Oh, no, yeah, it stays green. It stays green till I call on you.
From forever ago is what I'm
Yeah, it goes you, so just so we all know, we're gonna do this like a classroom. It goes Berkowitz, Steve Ballage, Mitchell, Parker, and Newquist. This is how you are in my order there, okay? And if for some reason it doesn't show up, you can just say it didn't work, but I'm just going by a little order here, so that's all. County Board Member Berkowitz. Now you're turned off. Sorry, there you go, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So it appears that certain board members are asking for another month to delay this to allow residents to learn more about it. That's what I think I'm hearing. However, when the two speakers came up here, they had previous discussion in the past. It wasn't just recently. So the project is no secret from what I can tell from even the testimony. Both parties spoke a couple times or several times. So my concern is that the longer we postpone it for the applicant, the more burdensome it becomes on them. And staff has been very thorough. I've looked at and read all the documentation, and I believe that we have a good plan here and that the conditions are met. And I believe that Mr. Nelson perhaps will continue to maintain that customer relation, and I might suggest that in the future, maybe reach out to the community a couple more times, sit down, continue the dialogue, continue to talk to them. But this is a very important industry, and we all know right now we cannot be an all-electric world, and we still rely on natural fossil fuels and gases. And this is critical to our economy here, and I believe that it's a very sound plan, structurally sound as well, especially being that it's buried. So I'm going to support it for that reason. I don't want to push this back on them again, and I just wanted to share that message.
Thank you. County Board Member Ballage.
Yeah, the gentleman that was speaking said if it went another month, it wouldn't be the end of the world. All we're asking for with sending it back is to provide more information to the board members so they can ask more detailed questions and get more detailed answers. And I don't see a problem with it. The two county board members that live in that district, and I say this over and over and over, if you live in the district, we should listen to the county board members from that district because they live there. I don't live there. I live in Homer Glen. So I don't know what's going on in Romeoville. So I can listen to the project. I think it's a decent project, but I too want to have some more answers. And so there's not, what's the big deal about sending it back for 1 month when the gentleman from the barges said it's fine, that they could deal with it for another month? I get it. If I was him, I wanted to move forward tomorrow. But what, we're going to just say, let's not talk about it because two county board members that live there have questions? Is that where we're going to go? I hope not, because it's important, to me, it's important that if you live there, you get your questions answered in detail. So I'm in favor of sending it back.
Thank you. County Board Member Mitchell.
Oh, finally. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, so look, what was said here today made complete sense to me. I am a rational, reasonable person, despite what others may think. And I'm fine with what all was said, but unfortunately, the community needs to get that information, and that's my concern. I'm not here because these two people said rational, reasonable things. I'm okay with what they said, but I'm here because the community wants to know. They want answers too. So we as board members, we want to make sure that the community is okay with this project. We also, for ourselves and for all of us, want to make sure all the information is there and upfront. And in as much as I understand, I hate bureaucracy. I say it all the time. In as much as I would like to just go, let's get her done. Let's also, when we get her done, let's also make sure that everybody's comfortable with it before we get her done. So if it's only 1 month, we'll make it just 1 month just to have everybody here, and let's do it that way. I'm in favor of remanding it back.
County Board Member Parker.
So I am very familiar with the project. I've spoken with a lot of entities involved with this project. This project touches my district. I'm actually in favor of the project. However, out of respect of the 2 county board members, I'm in support of remanding it back to committee.
County Board Member Pretzel, you are actually next, but I'm going to let you close since this year. I'll let you get the final say. So I'm going to hold off until you, to the very end with you, if you don't mind. County Board Member Newquist, it's great to have the last word.
My only concern with remanding it back to committee is that we on the committee, I believe we have our questions answered. And the vote is probably going to be the same as it was the other 4 times or however often it's been in front of land use. So what are we going to do to address the concerns of the community and make sure that they have correct information, not misinformation? That's my concern. I think there needs to be, if we're going to remand this, and again, there's nothing really wrong on the face of it with remanding, but if we're going to do that, we need to use that time and not just do the same thing all over again in a month.
County Board Member Williams.
Thank you. Yes, this is partially in my district as well as colleague Parker, and I agree that I'm not totally opposed to it. However, there are questions in the community. We represent the community, and I think that it should be remanded back to committee just so that we can hear everything and then make our decision.
County Board Member Ogala.
Thank you. I just want to clarify the fact that when you look at your agenda and you see various times, various different lines for PZC and the Land Use Department, that is not the number of times they are PZC or at the Land Use Department. These are all the different pins that are involved with it, the different variances, and other special use issues that had to be addressed for the entire project. So it hasn't gone just because you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times of this and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't mean it was there that many times. It was just, you have to handle each individual parcel and variance individually, and that's what it was for. So it wasn't there multiple times. It wasn't was there one time for each one of these situations. We just vote on each thing individually. Thank you.
Chair Pretzel.
All right. I have a lot to say on this one. So this isn't new. This has been going on for the better part of a decade here. It's been in front of this county board before and passed. It went through Land Use Committee. It went through Planning and Zoning. It's been through the Village of Lockport. Everybody knows about this. This isn't new. And what happened was, in the last 48 hours, a county board member heard that there was an oil spill in the county. So now we're all panicked because oil is bad, and we need to punish this guy, this company who's been working on this, done everything right for almost a decade because there was an oil spill. Well, this guy is a customer of that company that had the oil spill. He didn't do that. We shouldn't delay this because there was an oil spill once. And for all of you who think oil is bad, you should probably order less goods and services because we all rely on this oil that this company is trying to provide. So we can go ahead and remand this back, and we can tie up hours in land use, which most of you don't attend those 4-hour meetings, but I do. And we're going to have people from the community there. We're going to have people from Ducere there. And you saw it today. As soon as someone from the oil company talks, then somebody else wants to talk because he said something that offended them. We have all the information here. This has been through every committee. I respect the people that live in this district, and I do want to side with you on this, but this is just a waste of resources. What are we going to uncover in the next 30 days that we haven't already heard? This company did not cause that oil spill. And they're doing everything they can to prevent that from happening. He's assured us that this is the safest possible way. The Forest Preserve District agrees. Our own staff, who we all trust, agrees. And he's telling us how safe it is, and we're going to continue to let him put it on these hundreds of rail cars, which isn't safe. It's backwards. This doesn't even make sense. So for that reason, I'm not going to support remanding this back to land use. I'm prepared to vote on it today, and I actually think it's good for Lockport. So I already, so I guess we
Yeah,
call
we
the
had a
vote
motion and
on-
a second to remand it back. Madam Clerk, please call the vote. This is to remand it back to committee.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlotman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 affirmative. 13.
With 13 affirmative, the motion carries. It will be remanded back to committee.
Zoning case ZC 23032, Mark Veaton, owner of record, requesting zoning map amendment from A1 to R3 and variance for street setback from 30 feet to 28.72 feet for property in Plainfield Township, commonly known as 15639 South River Road, Plainfield, Illinois, County Board District Number 8. PZC and land use approved the map amendment from A1 to R3, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revish. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlotman. Van Dyne. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
21 affirmative, the motion carries.
Next, number 10, zoning case ZC 23033, ADZ Trucking, Inc., owner of record Vladimir Kojikari and Nathaniel Washburn, KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a special use permit for heavy equipment sales, rentals for property in New Lenox Township, commonly known as 16434 Cherry Creek Court, Joliet, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. PZC and land use approved the special use permit for heavy equipment sales rentals, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel,
Second.
second by Berkowitz. Previous roll call. Dean Schlotman, seconded by Mitchell. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I guess.
Number 11, zoning case ZC 23036, Ederolo LLC. Adam Beal of TPE, Illinois, WI 339 LLC, agent, and Kyle Berry of McGuire Woods LLP, attorney, requesting a special use permit for a solar energy facility, commercial for property commonly known as vacant property on Route 45, Peatone, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. PZC and land use approved the special use permit for solar energy facility, commercial with 5 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Diaz. Any discussion? Their previous roll call? Previous roll call by Dean Schlotman, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Land Use and Development Committee resolutions. First on the agenda, 23-171, text amendments to the Will County Contractors Registration Bonding and Insurance Ordinance, self-retention insurance for liability insurance. Committee has postponed this until our July meeting. I move to remove from the agenda.
Seconded by Freeman. The previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Newquist. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number two, 23-172, amending section 15510.10C3D, accessory dwelling units, entrance requirements of the Will County zoning ordinance. Land use voted 5-0 to approve, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trinier. Any discussion? Previous roll call Costa, seconded by Newquist. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number three is amending the use table regarding cemeteries of the Will County zoning ordinance. Due to some clerical issues, this item will not move forward at this time. Land Use Committee remanded it back to PZC.
Motion by Pretzel to remove it from the agenda. Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trinier. Oh, sorry. We're remanding it back to PZC. So motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trinier. Do you have any discussion? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Last, 23-174, overturning the decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission and approving appeal APCD 23003 by STP Family Partnership, Mark Koenig of the Koenig Group, Inc., applicant for zoning case ZC 23005, variance for maximum accessory building area from 1,800 square feet to 4,816.18 square feet, and a variance for maximum number of vehicles permitted in a residential district from 5 to 15 in Lockport Township, commonly known as 17259 143rd Street, Lockport, Illinois. The first variance was approved by PZC, but the second and third variances were denied. Land use voted 5-0 to approve both, thereby approving to overturn the decision of the PZC, and I move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gala. Is there any discussion? Okay, previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by, I'm sorry, who said Freeman? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next Land Use and Development Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 11th.
Hold on a second, hold on 1 second, Chairman Fred. Chair, were both variances denied or just one?
Just the one was denied by PZC.
So we're fine. We're fine, good, thank you.
Is
We're
that
good. Now
correct?
that is
Is
correct.
that correct? Sorry.
So two, so we will need 2 votes? We'll need second vote, yeah.
Sorry. So I move for the second one, which is the changing it from 5 to 15 parking spots, allowed vehicles.
Yes, very good. Second, motion by Pretzel, seconded by Van Dyne. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Revis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next Land Use and Development Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, right here at 10:30 a.m. I hope to see each and every one of you at that meeting.
That's right, special.
All right, Mr. Richmond.
Executive. I think it's still morning, right? So I have 2 reports for the monthly financial reports to be placed on file. First one is a report from Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County in the month of March 2023 to be $2,113,007.31. The RTA tax received is $2,475,133.50 for a grand total of $4,588,140.88. And the second one is the monthly treasurer's report from March 31st, 2023 by the Will County Treasurer, Tim Brophy.
Motion by...
Yeah, I make a motion.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by O'Gala. Is there any discussion? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to go into a public hearing to increase the fees for the county clerk's office.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by O'Gala. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond.
Yes.
Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
We are now in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once the public hearing pertaining to increasing fees for certain services of the Will County Clerk's Office is closed. Do we have any comments from the public on this topic? Okay, I saw someone walking. I just want to make sure they weren't walking down. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Mueller, seconded by Richmond. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. Julie, did you have a comment? Do you have a
question, so I don't know when
I think you can do it during the vote. Yeah. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier. Dean Schlattman. Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond.
Yes.
Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 20.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to, for Resolution 23-175, increasing fees for certain services of the Will County Clerk's Office.
We have a motion by Richmond, seconded by Newquist. Any discussion? County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So I wanted to ask staff on the cost here. So I'm looking at the cost study. And it says for a death certificate, the first copy, the actual cost is $22.52. And then additional copies are $9.75. How do you determine that cost? How does the death certificate, that first copy, how does that cost $22.52?
Is there a staff member from the, Britt, would you like to come up and talk on behalf of the County Clerk's Office? Thank you.
And, you know, for example, also the marriage certificate, the first cost is $75. Do you guys have to do some investigation, or I'm just wondering, $75 is?
Hi there.
Hi.
Britt Hitchens with the County Clerk's Office. So we did a cost study. We hired an outside company to do this as is required by statute. The logic, I think, behind why the first copy is more expensive than the additionals is finding the record in our files is the initial effort. Once we have the record, it's cheaper, obviously, to just make additional copies. So the cost study firm takes into account all of our overhead, salaries, storage, the cost of the paper to issue the certificates, all of that.
That's it. Doesn't look like any other question. So we have a first and second. Is there a previous by Van Dyne? Jackie, I think you stepped out the last vote. Would you like to be a yes on this one? Seconded by Trenier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion for Resolution 23-176, request for camera system upgrade at the Will County Adult Detention Facility.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Revis. Any discussion? Previous by Newquist, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next item up is Resolution 23-177, authorizing the use of contingent funds to increase the appropriations in the state's attorney's budget for court reporter costs. I make a motion.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Gale. Any discussions? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Revis. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 23-178, transferring appropriations within various county budgets, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Revis, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 at 11 o'clock.
Thank you very much. County Board, or Chairman Van Dyne.
Thank you, Madam Executive, and good morning to everyone at our meeting this morning. Public Works and Transportation Committee will bring 8 resolutions forward, starting with number 1, 23-179, establishing cost participation policy for bicycle and pedestrian facilities associated with Will County Division of Transportation reconstruction projects, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by Costa. County Board Member Ogala for discussion.
Thank you. I just wanted everyone to know the different issues that are being included in this conversation here. One of the issues is if the County Highway Department does a road project and we are expanding a road and there happens to be an existing sidewalk or bike path in our easement right away that the Highway Department has paid for, we allow the villages to put in a bike path or a sidewalk, whatever they desire. We put the shelf in, they put it in. The current understanding is if they want to do that, they put it in at their cost. And if it gets removed because we expand the road, it was at their cost. That's the current understanding. The board is looking to say, if we do a road project and we have to take out the sidewalk or take out the bike path, that we will replace it at 100%. So that's one of the issues that we're talking about. Another one of the issues is that if we are putting in a new road, expanding the roadway like we are like on Laraway, and there is no current sidewalk or current bike path, that the county would cover 50% of the cost and the municipality would cover 50% of the cost. And that would only occur where there's existing housing subdivisions on either side of the road. If it's open and unapproved property, if it's farmland right now, then we would not put it in there because that would be the developer who comes in and puts in the new subdivision. That's their responsibility. They help fund some of that for it. So that's what we're looking at here. And so we're really, as a county, doing a big investment in something that's been typically the responsibility of the municipality. And we're doing that through our gas tax dollars. There you have it. Well, I think everyone should know what we're doing because,
County Board Member Pretzel?
In the next 5 years, this county is going to collect over $90 million from our motor fuel tax. We don't even give our voters an opportunity to have a say in that. That's just money we take every time they put gas in their cars. Over the past 6 years, the county's put in about just over $2 million of sidewalks. Over the next 5 years, they're projecting about $3.5 million out of the $90 million that we take from the residents of this county. I think this is a no-brainer. It's the least we can do to keep them safe off the roads. It's what our municipalities are asking for. I think it just makes us good partners. I support this wholeheartedly.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. There's a previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by, you have a comment. I'm sorry. County Board Member Ballard.
I know you forgot.
Late
me.
to the draw there.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, I had whatever. I just want to say that, we have a motto about fixing where we live. And this is an example of things that we can fix. And it's not going to hurt us, and it's going to help the municipalities. So that's why I'm in favor of it. I think it's a great idea.
County Board Member Diaz.
I'm going to second what Steve said. I think putting in new sidewalks and helping our community is only best for our communities. And I think we should give back a little something if we have the ability, and it sounds like we do. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. There was a previous roll call by Ballard. I know Mueller seconded. All in favor? You want to roll, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 2 on our list, Resolution 23-180, adopting the Will County Department of Transportation Improvement Program from 2024 to 2029, and I would love to make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23-181, confirming award of contract to Iroquois Paving Corporation, $1,981,701.25 for Peatone Beecher Road, County Highway 24 resurfacing program, project rather. County Board District 2, I will make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by O'Gall. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23-182, improvement by county under the Illinois Highway Code for Peatone Beecher Road, County Highway 24 for the resurfacing, using our MFT funds, $2.2 million. Same district, I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by O'Gall. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-183, confirming award of contract to Austin Tyler, $133,053.25 for Wheatland Road District overlay on various roadways in District 8, and I would like to make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, Resolution 23-184, confirming award of contract to Vulcan Construction Materials, $16.60 per ton for district materials aggregate, County Board District 2. I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by O'Gall. Any discussion? Previous roll? Freeman, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-185, confirming award of contract to Tri-State Asphalt, $2.59 a gallon for oil, County Board District 2. I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by O'Gall. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, number 8, Resolution 23-186, authorizing an IGA between the Village of Manuka, the County of Grundy, and Will for the improvement of McEvely Road. These are hard. County Highway 32, County Board District 1, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Any discussion? Their previous roll by Freeman, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
You know, on some of these, you try to summarize and it just backfires, so. Our next Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 at 9 a.m., and that concludes our report.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Health and Public Safety Committee, Chair Freeman.
Good morning. I am going to be faster than him because I don't have any proclamations to move forward. However, the Sheriff's Department did report come in with the adult detention facility. Sunny Hill Nursing Home was there. I would like to announce that Maggie McDowell has accepted a seat on the Illinois Nursing Home Administrators Group, which is an advocacy group for training administrators in Illinois. It's kind of exciting. The Health Department was there. We had a extended discussion on behavioral health. Silver Cross came with a presentation, and all PowerPoint presentations were part of the agenda, and I encourage all of you to take a look at them. Our next meeting is scheduled Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Hope to see you there too.
Thank you. County Board, our Chair Berkowitz, Legislative Committee.
Madam Executive. In the legislative world, the push for the South Suburban Airport continues. And unfortunately, House Bill 3062 became law. This legislation only allows cases that impact our constitutional rights to be heard in only 2 counties in the entire state. These 2 counties are Cook County and Saginaw County. Another unfortunate trend we see in the state of Illinois. So I invite you to join us at our next meeting, which will be held on Tuesday. Oh, hold on. Because of NACO, we have a new date. It's going to be held on Wednesday, July 5th at 12 p.m. And we'll be talking about these types of issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to capital improvements in IT, Chair Mueller.
Good morning, everyone. It's still morning. I have a couple resolutions to move forward this morning. First, number one is 23-187, authorizing the Will County Executive to enter into a commercial real estate contract for the purchase of the Pace Heritage Garage located at 9 Osgood Street in Joliet, and I so move.
Motion by Mueller, seconded by Newquist. County Board Member Coleman.
Mike, you want to go up and, would you like me to answer?
Oh, yeah, if you have the,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
At this time, it looks like we're going to be utilizing the space for probation and problem-solving courts and parole. I'm sorry, public defender. There were Ps, and I was trying to remember them all. So, yeah, the public defender, the problem-solving courts, and probation is what we're looking at moving in there. If you would like to see insides of the building and information, there is a report attached to the Capital Improvement Committee agenda from this month that is quite informative and full of pictures. So,
Yep, thank you. And just remember, we can answer any questions outside of specific contract questions. If you do have contract questions, we have to go in special session.
Right.
So,
We'll have-
County Board Member Ballage.
Yeah, I've said in committee that I don't want to see another episode of Silver Cross Building. So I want to make sure that the people that said, the different departments that are going to go in there are going to go in there. Whether they like it or not, they have to go in there. And if they're not going to be, I'll be against the project and I'll bitch about it for the next 10 years. I will haunt everybody, but we can't have it happen again because these departments decide they don't want to go after we buy it, and then we have a building with nothing in it, and then we use it for storage or something? I mean, it's stupid. Let's force them to go in there, not just say you want to go there like a nice guy, hey, you want to go there? And they say, yes, we want to go there. It's a great building. Well, then the time comes and they say, no, I don't want to do it. Well, the board has to tell them, too bad, you go there, you're going to have a problem because we're not going to give you any funding then. We're going to cut your budget off or go there. That's my opinion, and I'm really mean it this time. I always mean it anyway.
Thank you. County Board Member Butler.
Yes, and I understand what you said, but I just wanted to add that this is a great cost savings, and this project is projected to pay for itself in 6 years. So it's a really good deal.
Thank you. County Board, any other discussion on that? Okay, County Board Member Mueller. We had a motion, we had a second. We would like to take a roll, are we all in favor? Or I'm sorry, we need a previous roll call, previous roll call. Logan, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
sorry. It's okay. All of you made me have to shut off. Yes. Number two is 23-188, authorizing the Will County Executive to execute an amended professional services agreement with White and Company, Inc. for design and construction management services required for the new Children's Advocacy Center located at 1206 Cedarwood Drive, Crest Hill, Illinois, and I so move.
Motion by Mueller, seconded by Costa. Any discussion? Is there a previous? Previous Ballage, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and that does it for capital improvement. Please join me at my next meeting, which is scheduled for Wednesday, July 5th. Due to the 4th of July holiday, we're bumping it a day at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Moving on to Executive Committee, Chair O'Gala.
Thank you. Today, we have 17 resolutions to consider. It's a lot. I feel like either Frankie Pretzel or Joe Van Dyne. We usually have a lot.
Actually, a combination to get to that many.
Today. Okay, first resolution is 23-164, appropriating the Federal Emergency Management Agency reimbursement in the county departments, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number two, 23-189, approving allocation of funds for the ARPA unmet needs pillar for public safety, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next one we're going to be talking about is ARPA infrastructure pillar. And with that, we are looking at spending part of the $31.5 million for projects that were CDBG projects. The rest of it, we'll be looking forward to having a discussion next month regarding how we'll look at spending the rest of that infrastructure dollars. Resolution 23-190, approving list of applicants under the ARPA infrastructure pillar targeted engagement to move the next stage of the process, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Van Dyne. Previous roll call by Richmond, seconded by Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number four, 23-191, authorizing county executive to sell county-owned property located in section 24 of Troy Township to the adjacent property owner. This is just a small piece of landlocked property off of Mound Road, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Van Dyne, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number five, 23-192, adoption of the successor collective bargaining agreement between the County of Will and ASME Council 31, Local 1028, relating to the Will County Health Department, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Mitchell, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number six, 23-193, authorizing the IGA with Shanahan Township for traditional recycling, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number seven, 23-194, authorizing an IGA with Shanahan Township for residential electronics recycling, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number eight, resolution 23-195, authorizing IGA with the City of Chicago Heights for access to the countywide radio system, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Newquist. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Mitchell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number nine, resolution 23-196, authorizing an IGA with South Chicago Heights for access to the countywide radio system, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Butler. Previous roll call by, Jackie Trenier for discussion.
Just a quick question. I apologize for not catching this when we were in executive committee. Is there really a city called South Chicago Heights?
Yes, there is. It's in our neck of the woods.
Seriously, I've been to Chicago Heights many, many times. I've been to the VA clinic. I had no idea there was a separate city on the south end. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for entertaining me with the geography lesson. Much appreciated.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there a previous? Previous by Mueller, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 10, resolution 23-197, authorizing extension of the joint agreement with the Village of Bolingbrook for the HUD CDBG and Home Investment Partnership Grant Programs, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Mitchell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 11, Resolution 23-198, proposing a substantial amendment to the Will County Consolidated Plan 2020-2024, Program Year 2020 Annual Action Plan for reallocation of funds. And I so move.
Motion by Ogala. Seconded by Tremere. County Board, we have a discussion on County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I just had a question about the down payment assistance in this plan. Like, what is the criteria? Who, who participates in that? Because I know occasionally I have residents who have certain needs and they call me, and I wasn't aware that we had this.
It's coming right now.
Thank you.
Our girl's coming down.
So just for, if you go to number 3 in the attachments on the agenda under increased home ownership, has down payment assistance.
Hello, everybody. Am I on? Okay, my name is Tawana Reed. I am a program manager for the community development. We currently have a down payment assistance program that has been going on for like a year. A person has to qualify. They have to be what we consider 80% of AMI or below. We assist, that's our, and right now for one person it's like $58,000 a year or less, unless you got more persons in the household. Will County Center for Community Concerns are the ones that administer the program for us. And actually I want to say about a year to a year and a half, we funded the project last year. We spent almost close to over $1 million in down payment assistance, providing assistance for over 35 people from the last year. So we're running out of funds, and that part that we allocated for that set aside for the development, we're trying to get that project, the DPA, to continue until we can allocate more funding. So that's where that's coming from, but it is up and operating now.
Be, the finance area. Is there a cap to how many dollars the county provides in this program, or do we just base it on demand, or?
We base it on the allocation plan. So when HUD gives us funding for the year, we try to divide it between the projects that we have. So this year in our allocation plan, we requested $500,000 to go towards down payment assistance, plus this reallocation from the 2020 funding. That's because within that 1 year, we gave the cap per person is up to $25,000, depending on the amount of the house that they bought, the dollar amount of the house that they're purchasing, and based on their income. So a person could qualify for $15,000 or $10,000, but majority of the ones that we are servicing currently are reaching our max at $25,000. So we're trying to keep that project going because it's benefiting with all over Will County. So we got houses that we supported in Wilmington, out in Crete, many in Joliet, some in Naperville. We're all over within Will County providing down payment assistance currently.
So, Tawana, I guess I just want to make sure I understand this. So this program, the funding from this program, is it all from HUD, or does Will County match some of it?
It's 100% from HUD.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Home program, the HUD home.
Thank you. And just kind of a caveat, that may be something, Chair Freeman, you want to bring to public health so people can learn. CDBG, it's under land use, so again, sometimes members find a surprise that we have these community service organizations, and so we are trying to elevate that too, because we do have a lot of good programs for our community. So I'm going to maybe suggest that you invite Martha and her team, because I think everyone would be very pleased with the services. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you
Thank
like
you.
a flyer as well? We can get you one. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, okay, so we have a motion. We have a motion by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. Is there a previous? Previous by Mueller, seconded by Ballage. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, number 11, Resolution 23-198, proposing a I did that one, yeah. Geez, oh, Pete. Sorry, number 12, Resolution 23-199, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing disposal, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Ballage. Previous roll call by Ortiz, sec by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 13, Resolution 23-200, authorizing contract renewal with Joliet Junior College Workforce Development for WIOA Youth Occupational Training Program, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Revis. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 14, Resolution 23-201, authorizing contract renewal with Joliet Junior College Workforce Development for a Work Readiness Program, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous by Ballage, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 15, Resolution 23-202, authorizing renewal with Will County One Stop Operator Agreement. You have an updated attachment to your packet, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Mitchell, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 16, Resolution 23-203, approving the bond of the Will County Regional Superintendent of Schools, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Butler. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
For number 17, we're doing this because we're moving the July County Board meeting from Thursday, July 20th to Wednesday, July 19th, due to attendees traveling to the NACO Annual Conference. So Resolution 23-204, suspending the Will County Board rules related to Section 3.08, setting the county board agenda, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Mitchell, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that is the resolutions for today. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 6th at 10 a.m. Moving forward to the appointments by the county executive. This month, we just have one appointment. It's for the Rockdale Fire District, and I make a motion to accept that appointment.
Motion by O'Gale, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to public comments. So is anyone in attendance today who have public comments relevant to matters under the jurisdiction of the county? If you can please come over, state your name. And a reminder, per County Board rules, you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you. Oh, you have several to read. How many?
Good morning. My name is Janet Blue. I'm a Will County resident, having lived in Monee for 13 years. For the last 12 years, I've served my community, my village, and my county in capacities including village trustee, American Legion Auxiliary Monee founder and president, delegate for the Doss Malone Post 1200 to the county's Veteran Assistance Commission, and more. As a member of the Will County Health Department's Medical Reserve Corps of Volunteers, I served during COVID and was instrumental in working with the Will County Health Department to bring COVID vaccines to a senior community of over 400 residents. I'm currently Chief of Staff at my church. At last month's meeting, my nomination to serve on the P&Z Commission was voted down. I come before you today not to ask for reconsideration. That ship has sailed. But because I was stunned and deeply disappointed to experience the process by which this county board evidently does business. At this time, I'm a private citizen, and while my nomination on the floor of this body, the chair of the county board made wild, unsubstantiated remarks about my character and my public service, which I believe to be defamatory. An effort to make sure that I could never serve anywhere again. It is deeply disappointing that members of this body would allow this to happen when a person wants to help, be a public servant, and truly serve. When I was a trustee on the board of the Village of Moni, the P&Z committee would refer any projects to us for consideration and approval. Board members would then review the request further, take a look at the property if necessary, and follow up with questions before deciding on the best path to follow. I did my homework, just as I would have done on the county's P&Z commission. The role of a public servant is to try to do what's right all of the time and to separate what's important from the noise. I can only ask that as more nominees come before this board, that the board members take that calling seriously, consider the totality of the individual and what they bring to the table, and not be swayed by baseless innuendos that seek only to do harm to people and their reputations. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Madam Executive.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Executive, County Board members and staff. My name is Nick Macris, co-chair of the Courthouse Preservation Partnership. I just wanted to briefly mention to you that nearly 2 years ago, when the Courthouse Preservation Partnership was formed, the primary mission of our organization was to work in cooperation with this body to examine all options to demolition for the old courthouse. So we have been successful in securing 6 developers who have expressed an interest in redevelopment of the courthouse. And I just wanted to take a brief moment of your time today to invite you to the next Joliet Historic Preservation Commission meeting on Wednesday, June 28th at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers. The Historic Preservation Commission has requested that they see what options our developers have for that building. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to invite you to that meeting. Thank you.
Good morning. I guess it's still morning. My name is Ellen Moriarty. I'm a 31-year resident at Homer Glen, District 4. And so, recognize the Juneteenth holiday, recognize June as Pride Month, recognizing Mothers for America. One of these things is not like the others. Juneteenth is a national holiday, not a political action organization. It is a historical date. Pride Month is also nationally recognized, celebrated since 1969 after the Stonewall riots. It has spread to be celebrated across the world. Again, it is not a political organization. It is a celebratory month. Moms for America is not a celebratory month, nor a remembrance day. It is, however, a 501(c)(3), a political organization that endorses candidates and fundraises for political, dare I say, mega causes. Clearly not something that should be proclaimed or recognized by our county government representative body. I believe that recognizing such an organization in this body may be illegal. Who dropped this ball? All of this information about Mothers for America is readily available. Mothers for America board members sit in this chamber. Your constituents had to inform you of this egregious act, and your response to the public outcry was just as egregious. Rather than admit that Mothers for America was a mistake and remove it alone, the board pulled all 3. We elected you to represent all of us. I think you just made a statement about that, Mr. Balich, about how you represent all the people in your district.
Please direct the county board or the chair.
I'm sorry.
Please don't.
My time's up?
No, you're going to be up shortly, but please
Oh, okay.
direct the county board.
We
or the
elected you
chair.
to represent all of us, to be prepared and educated. Do better. Thank you.
Good morning, County Board members, County Executive, and staff. My name is Reem Townsend. I'm a DuPage Township trustee, and I live in Bolingbrook. And I'm here to request that Moms for America not be recognized by the Will County Board. They are anti-equality and openly hate the LGBTQ community. By definition, feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of the sexes. And the Moms for America website labels feminists as radical. Equality is not radicalism. They have leaders on video on their own verified social media platforms that call people seeking asylum as invaders and criminals. Their social media shares Breitbart News, whose content has been described as misogynistic, xenophobic, and racist by academics. They openly discriminate against other faiths. Their social media states, I have it right here, printed from Instagram, "It is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible." What about those in government that are not Christian, like myself? There are elected officials all over this country that are not Christian. We all remember the attack President Obama faced when people speculated that he was Muslim and how that perception was negative. I myself was recently attacked for my faith in a township board meeting. There are constituents that are not Christian. Diversity and inclusion is what makes this country beautiful. We know that the more diverse a company is, the better the company performs, the better the culture, and the more successful the business is. Is this the type of group that the Will County Board of Elected Officials wants to award a recognition to? Ones that purposely exclude other religions and make it appear that you cannot govern unless you are Christian? Moms for America is nothing more than another right-wing hate group, and I call on every member of this board not to normalize them. They are labeled an extremist anti-government entity by civil rights watchdogs, and they themselves encourage people to look to God for solutions and guidance, not the government. Here's another image that says, "Teach your children to look to God for solutions, healing, and guidance, not the government." So give them what they ask for. Let God recognize them, and I request that the Will County Board stay out of it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Daniel. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak with you. While I'm grateful that you removed the hate group Moms for America, I am hurt that the board took away the proclamations for Pride Month and Juneteenth. By removing both of us and this hate group, this makes me feel as though the LGBTQ community is being lumped in together with them. I feel as though I'm being seen as part of a hate group. To quote Karl Popper, "If we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and the tolerance with it." Will County is my home. I've always lived here. I've moved away and come back numerous times from various parts of the country. I've always felt safe here. That's why I come back. So let's protect and celebrate our diverse community and not allow intolerance to take root and spread like the cancer that it is.
We have several that, public comments that will be read in.
This is from Pat Perrier. Dear Board Chair and board members, thanks to the public outcry, the hate group Moms for America will no longer be officially lauded. However, their board supporters will probably still show support during this Thursday's meeting. More egregious on your new agenda is an apparent temper tantrum which has occurred. Since the hate group can't be recognized, someone has decided that nobody will be recognized. So Pride Month goes unmentioned. Great message to the LGBTQIA+ citizens of this community. And Juneteenth, a federal holiday which commemorates the day when the last enslaved people learned that they were free, is also going unrecognized. Great message to the Black community in the county. Nice work there. Is someone having a hissy fit because the board has come to their senses and realized that recognizing or honoring a hate group, as per the Southern Poverty Law Center, who are admitted experts at knowing about such groups, is not a good look for Will County? Seriously, a teenager with reasonable searching skills would be able to find out minutes that moms and awake groups are responsible for book bans, hate speech at school boards, and attacks on our public libraries and schools. They believe they and only they are the arbiters of morality. They often align with white supremacist groups such as Patriot Front and Proud Boys, groups seen at Pride events, racist rallies, and screaming "Jews will not replace us." In fact, the increase in membership in these groups has tracked with the rise in anti-Semitic rhetoric. The people who align themselves with these groups and actively engage in harassment, as noted above, and when you've irritated the librarians, you've really gone a step too far to the side of evil, are also fiercely fighting the teaching of racism. They complain that white children will be harmed, telling Black children that their history is irrelevant. They call supporters of the LGBTQIA+ youth groomers and pedophiles. Young folks at Pride events fear their parents will kick them out if they are outed before they are ready to make that journey. These young people often end up in cities where they become victims of drug dealers and sex traffickers. Many resort to self-harm or commit suicide, according to reliable support organizations such as the Trevor Project. Neither Moms for America or any of these similar groups should be celebrated. They should be abjured and rejected as not compatible with what Will County is capable of being. We want to be a world-class county. We can't be when we actively celebrate hate and disregard the majority of our citizens who only want a safe place to live and work. As a lifelong Will County citizen, as a person who strongly believes in our purple status as our ability to work together to make Will County a great place to make your life and have your career, it's disgusting and beyond reason. Showing the deep divide has crept into our community that some members of Will County Board will publicly embrace and encourage a group such as this. Encouraging more of these groups to come here, since we would then appear to be a safe haven. Thanks, but no thanks. That harms many in our communities while refusing to celebrate those who provide support. I'm fine. There's 21. So. This is Dear Will County Board members. As a homeowner in Will County, a concerned citizen, voter, election judge, and mom of members of the LGBTQIA community, I am very unhappy with your recognition of the Organizations for Moms for America. This is a group that has encouraged divisive and harmful rhetoric in our communities. MFA is also tied to the banning of books under the guise of protecting children. MFA has ties to groups that are promoting the false narrative that gay people are grooming children and that teaching history, especially civil rights, recent history, will somehow harm children. These are false and harmful anti-intellectual ideas. To recognize this group in the same month as Pride, Juneteenth, much less recognition at the same meeting, seems like calculated political machinations. I wish to go on record with a firm protest against the official recognition of MFA and suggest this board consider this action. Sincerely, Barbara Lindblom. Diana Prince. Good morning, County Board members. I would like to know who the sponsor of the proclamation honoring Moms for America that is being announced at the June 15th meeting is. There is not a sponsor listed on the agenda. This should be made public, as should stating what county board members support this proclamation. I would also like to know how a 22-member county board is allowing for a county proclamation to honor and recognize Moms for America when they were recently given the dishonorable designation of a hate group by the SPLC. Step up and do the right thing and take this proclamation off the agenda. This hate group does not deserve another second of airtime and definitely does not warrant public support by elected officials. Jessica Stevens. Dear board members, my name is Jessica and I'm a longtime Will County resident. I'm writing you today to express my deep concerns about your recognition of Moms for America at the June 15th meeting. Possibly you do not know who Moms for America are and the extremist views they hold and the direct conflict they pose to the recognition of Pride and Juneteenth. Juneteenth and Pride recognition are meant to recognize and honor marginalized people who have been enslaved, murdered, and generally treated poorly over time. Moms for America is a white supremacist hate group that hates the LGBTQIA community and openly participates in racist rallies. To honor Juneteenth and Pride simultaneously with MFA is akin to inviting neo-Nazis to Hanukkah celebration. It's absolutely distasteful and abhorrent. Moms for America founder declared a holy war on feminism. MFA VP is Debbie Koloides, who hosts an MFA podcast. How can she associate with these people? MFA participated in in the January 6th Capitol insurrection and chanted victory or death. As Officer Fanon was assaulted, they actively spread the big lie. They want to ban books and actively campaign against equal rights. Don't be fooled. These aren't suburban moms sipping coffee and holding conservative values. This is a right-wing extremist group that gets $100,000 PAC donations to spread their hate. Please don't dishonor our minorities and our values of equality by recognizing MFA. You're doing a disservice to Will County and tarnishing our reputation as being a good place to live. Thank you for your time. Margie Wolf. My name is Margie Wolf, and I am the Executive Director of Naper Pride. Naper Pride's vision is to create an organization and local network that assists LGBTQ individuals and families to obtain resources in physical and mental health, academic and professional development, and to create social and civic opportunities to benefit the LGBTQ community in the city of Naperville. We have been registered as a 501c3 in good standing since 2019. We have recently been made aware that Will County Board is going to give a proclamation during June as Pride Month. While a genuine show of support for the LGBTQ community is always appreciated, this particular event unfortunately is not. We understand that the Will County Board is also going to issue a proclamation for the organization Moms for America. This organization has recently been declared an anti-LGBTQ hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Moms for America, along with several related organizations, are directly responsible for hate speech on social media and at in-person events, anti-LGBTQ initiatives, protests at school board meetings, libraries, and Pride-related events. There is no doubt in my mind of a reasonable person that Moms for America is committed to persecution of the LGBTQ community. With approximately a third of the city of Naperville located within Will County's borders, we obviously have an interest in this matter. We are concerned about the current sitting, the Will County Board members' commitment and ability to provide a safe environment and equality for all individuals. The presentation of a proclamation for Moms for America is not only insulting, it is demeaning to every LGBTQ individual living in Will County, approximately 10% of the entire Will County population. On behalf of Naper Pride and Naperville's LGBTQ community, we regret to inform you that we will not be able to accept the 2023 Pride Month proclamation from the Will County Board. Susan Stanley. I wish to express my displeasure of your intent to honor a hate group like Moms for America. They are anything but for America. The work against LGBTQ and children of color, if honored by Will County, that will mean Will County is for hate and discrimination. Is that what you really want this county to stand for? Please remove Moms for America from your honorary list. Ginny Lester. Everyone has a right to hate. Everyone has a right to associate, but the Will County Board should not be recognizing a group that advocates for hate. Cindy Mundell. Dear Will County Board members, I am voicing my opposition to recognizing Moms for America. This organization is a far-right group that is anti-student inclusion. They grew out of opposition to public health regulations. Their anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric is a danger to the health and safety of students that don't comply with their Christo-fascist ideal. They oppose racial inclusivity. They have advocated for book bans. They target students, teachers, libraries, and only one they label as other. They value Steve Bannon as a resource. They see themselves as guardians of women's health by targeting Planned Parenthood. Their motto is adore God, reverence, and cherish your parents. Love your neighbor as yourself and country more than yourself. Using Thomas Jefferson as a reference, our country was founded on separation of church and state. Moms are not prohibited from adoring their God, but they cannot impose their beliefs on anyone. Many parents have earned reference. However, this isolates children that are abused, neglected, and exploited. Moms' actions are not a testament. Love your neighbor as yourself when they include marginalized people. Their motto is shallow. Sharon Texley. I appreciate your honoring Pride Month and Juneteenth, but please do not honor Moms for America at your next meeting. The name sounds sweet, but is a harmful group. Moms for Liberty is an American conservative 501c4 nonprofit organization that advocates against school curriculums that mention LGBT rights, race, critical race theory, and discrimination, while multiple chatters have also campaigned to ban from school libraries books that address genders and sexuality issues. Barbara Lannon. Board members, as a Will County resident, I have to speak out against the honoring of the group Moms for America. You need only read their call to boycott Target to see where they stand on LGBTQ+ community. The rhetoric is harmful to the LGBTQ+ community by spreading the notion that this demographic is interested in grooming kids. This is patently false. Their mission is harmful to an already marginalized group. Please do not give this group a wider audience. Daniel Dunlap. To whom it may concern, it was recently brought to my attention that the Will County Board has elected to make a proclamation for Moms for America. I can't even begin to tell you how appalled I am that this would be considered, let alone during Pride Month. This group is considered a hate group by several leading civil rights groups, and I implore you to reconsider your decision. This is not what our county represents. Inclusion matters, and this pseudo-fascist group is not an example of the kind of people that live in this county. They do not represent us, and to laud them publicly would be an insult to the LGBTQIA+ community and allies alike. Laura Welch. As president of Illinois National Organization for Women and a resident of Will County, I am appalled that some members of the Will County Board had plans to recognize the group Moms for America, a group that is part of a nationwide assault on America's LGBTQ community, Black Americans, and children. Thanks to a large outcry, the group will no longer be officially lauded. However, their board supporters will probably still show support during this Thursday's meeting. More heinous is that the planned recognition of Pride Month and Juneteenth, which commemorates the day when the last enslaved people learned they were free and is a national holiday, has been canceled as well. Retribution. Moms and awake groups are responsible for book bans, hate speech at school boards, and attacks on our public libraries and schools. They believe they alone are the arbiters of morality. They often align with white supremacist groups such as Patriot Front and Proud Boys, groups seen at Pride events, racist rallies, and screaming, "Jews will not replace us." In fact, their use of the term Marxist is highly anti-Semitic. They fight the teaching of racism and complain white children will be harmed, telling Black children that their history is irrelevant. They call supporters of the LGBTQ youth groomer and pedophile. Young folks at Pride events fear their parents will kick them out if they are LGBTQ. These young people often end up in cities where they become victims of drug dealers and sex traffickers. Many often self-harm or commit suicide, according to the LGBTQ support organizations. Neither Moms for America or any of these similar groups should be celebrated. I am disgusted that some members of the Will County Board would laud a group that harms many in our communities while refusing to celebrate those that provide support. Okay. Michelle Langhout. I do not agree with County Board acknowledging a group that has been classified as an anti-government movement by SPLCenter.org. Drew Nicholson. To the Will County Board, the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated Moms for America as an extremist anti-government group. Senior leaders have been involved in supporting former President Trump's lies about the 2020 election. The organization pushes book bans, endorses far-right anti-LGBTQ+ candidates, and constantly talks about groomers. Speakers at events have praised Hitler and fomented insurrection. I live in Will County and I vote. Remove them from your June 15th agenda. Let them get their free speech in other venues. Michelle Harrison. I am very disappointed that a known hate group, Moms for Liberty, would receive recognition, let alone protection, followed by the dismissal of Juneteenth and Pride. Do better and speak for the people. Nancy Hockenberry. I'm writing regarding the now removed proclamation honoring Moms for America. I am utterly disgusted that this item ever made a county board agenda, as this is a hate group. Who puts this on an agenda? Who approved this agenda? Why did no one speak up until there was public outcry? As elected officials, your job is to serve all the residents, not a select few board members who are using their position to pacify their dwindling number of supporters. I live in Homer Township, where Steve Valage has made proclamations regarding the Second Amendment and right to life. As a pro-choice, pro-gun control citizen, I'm appalled that I live in a township that blatantly blankets me into their beliefs. Do not let Will County turn into Homer Township, where small-minded people push their beliefs on everyone else. Do not let bullies trample over your better judgment. Be better citizens of Will County. Elizabeth Payne. I am writing you in regard to the recognition now removed from Moms for America. As a resident of Will County, a former educator, and a mother to an LGBTQ member, I have to ask myself why a county board that represents a wide range of people would willfully promote a hate group. I have to wonder if this board truly has the best interest of all who live in Will County in mind, or are they purposefully creating a divide, and for what purpose? I caution you, people are watching. There are far more people paying attention than those in your bubble. When you allow the loud and ignorant voice of hate make decisions for the whole, you walk a very thin line of being on the wrong side of history. Jessica Barnes. Dear board members, my name is Jessica and I'm a longtime Will County resident. I'm writing you today to express my deep concerns about your recognition of Moms for America at the June 15th meeting. Possibly you do not know who Moms for America are, the extremist views they hold, and the direct conflict they pose to the recognition of Pride Juneteenth. Juneteenth and Pride recognition are meant to recognize and honor marginalized people who have been enslaved, murdered, and generally treated poorly over time. Moms for America is a white supremacist hate group that hates the LGBTQIA community and openly participates in racist rallies. To honor Juneteenth and Pride simultaneously with MFA is akin to inviting neo-Nazis to a Hanukkah celebration. It's absolutely distasteful and abhorrent. MFA participated in the January 6th Capitol insurrection and chanted victory or death. As Officer Fano was assaulted, they actively spread the big lie. Mary Ann Riley. I am concerned about the cemetery going in on Meter Road in Homer Township. It is going into a very residential area. One, I'm concerned that 24,000 bodies being buried in shrouds. What about our well and septic and our water supply? 2, property values will likely decrease. 3, traffic will increase in our quiet residential area. Do you think we could require burials in biodegradable pods? Can we see more testing that has gone on? Can we put up signs of which way to get into the cemetery? These are just a few of my concerns. I live on Chicago-Bloomington Trail right by Meter Road. We would like FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, to apply here. Apparently no one knew anything about a cemetery being put in a very residential area. Thank you in advance. Tom Jasinski. Looks like this is for a zoning case. Should I still read it? New oil processing facility in Lockport. It's a zoning public cup. Want me to still read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Tom Jasinski, comment regarding topic for discussion today for possible development of new oil processing facility in Lockport to be discussed today, June 15th, 2023 at 9 a.m. We don't need any more oil pollution in the Des Plaines River Valley. Please vote no regarding number 8 on land use and development zoning case ZC 23023. A few years ago, the EPA published an article in the newspaper that warned citizens that the river water was so badly polluted that you should not eat the fish in the river or even put your hands in the river water. Don't make it worse. It looks like this. I guess not. Like, see how this one then goes on to talk about something else. Like, I feel like it's not the right.
We just need to get these as is.
I mean, I can keep reading it, but it doesn't. Okay, I'm not sure if this goes with it because it's like taped on here. So, the next part of Mr. Jasinski's comment says they want to ban books and campaign against equal rights. They harass trans youth. Don't be fooled. These aren't suburban moms sipping coffee and holding conservative values. This is a right-wing extremist group.
Yeah, we can hold off. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think that was with them. That's how it was received, taped. So we just need to get them printed out as is.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Jess McIlvain. In June 1999, U.S. President Bill Clinton declared the anniversary of the Stonewall riots every June in America as Gay and Lesbian Pride Month to recognize the struggles, contributions, and achievements of the community. In 2011, President Barack Obama expanded the officially recognized Pride Month to include the whole of the LGBT community. Today, we should celebrate Pride Month with Will County Board, but we are not because the Republican board members hijacked the proclamations to honor a hate group. Moms for America is an anti-government, queer, tormenting, book banning, anti-equality, insurrection participating branch for the Moms for Liberty group. What should have been a day to celebrate and recognize important marginalized communities through a Juneteenth and Pride proclamation was overshadowed by hate. Hate for the LGBTQIA plus community by the Republican Will County board members. Hate for the LGBTQIA plus community by Moms for America. We were not asked how we felt about this. We were expected to say nothing as we were disrespected, belittled, and harassed by having to stand with our attackers as they got recognized by the Will County Board. We will not stand by quietly and allow these things to continue. Our community deserves better. Thank you to the Democrats on the Will County Board for hearing us and making sure the proclamation was removed at our request. The Will County Pride Coalition.
All right, that concludes public comments. We'll now move on to comments by county board members. Please press your button, and we will go in order. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I do have a question, but at first I just want to say that I believe and I know that Will County does support the LGBTQ community. It is recognized here as the pride flag is currently flying here at the county building. I think, Jennifer, is that for the whole month?
Yes, I place it up for the whole month.
Okay,
That's
so
my decision.
it's out there for everyone to see. And also Juneteenth is recognized in our county. And I believe it's also, as an additional benefit, it is a paid company employee holiday. That would be Juneteenth. or federal holiday. So I think several people, possibly in this same room, does get that benefit. So it is recognized, and I just wanted that to be on the record. So I do have a question, and Jennifer, this is for you. I was looking for some more information, and I don't know if you shared this with Kim or not. If you have, I'd like it to be resent to me. It is regarding the $17 million health pillar distribution. When we approved that and put it through, the recipients were not named. And I would just like to get the names of those recipients. If it's all been completed, I'd like to just see if anyone in my district received any allocations, and I would just like to follow up with them. Has that been sent out to us?
This is
or-
public comment. I'm sure you can talk to your chief of staff for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. County Board Member Costa.
Thank you, County Executive. 54 years ago, on June 28th, marks the Stonewall Uprising in New York City by the gay community in response to police raids, abuse of power, and hate against gays. The civil unrest that took place during Stonewall led to the gay liberation movement. Our great nation officially recognizes lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, intersex plus community in proclaiming June as Pride Month. It's a shame that in 2023 in Will County, we cannot proclaim, celebrate, and recognize our queer brothers and sisters without controversy or compromise. This is backwards. By compromise to remove the proclamation for Pride, Juneteenth was also removed. For fear of politicization, this board leadership did not do right by our LGBTQI+ and Black neighbors, did not act bravely, and only perpetuated the othering that harms all of us. We have a long way to go, County Board. I beg we lead into our County Board values to be forward-thinking and provide collaborative leadership towards progress for all residents in Will County, especially those in marginalized and in struggle. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, finds that LGBT adults are more than twice as likely as heterosexual adults to experience mental health conditions. Transgender, nearly 4 times as likely as cisgender to experience mental health conditions. This is because many face daily discrimination, family rejection, social rejection, harassment, and fear of violence. LGBT youth who come from highly rejecting families are 8.4 times as likely to have attempted suicide as LGBT peers who report no or low levels of family rejection. As with any identity, feeling different or being unaccepted and rejected are significant risk factors for mental health struggles. The vision of the Will County Board is that everyone have the highest quality of life through a fully engaged county government. I pray that next year, our engagement as county board leaders and members can agree to a simple act of recognition without compromise for our LGBTQI+ community. A simple act that can make big progress towards inclusion, awareness, healing, and letting them know they are seen, safe, and supported here in Will County. I want to thank my fellow board members for the seed funds approved last month to help the new 708 Mental Health Board lay the groundwork for identifying the mental health service gaps across the county. The 708 Board is recruiting for a staffer to support our efforts, and the job posting can be found on the 708 Board link on the Will County website. Deadline is June 23rd. The 708 Board will be preparing our levy request for this budget cycle, and I ask in advance for your full support. I encourage residents to find your way to support, celebrate, and be an allyship by exposing and educating yourself to difference and diversity, and encourage belonging. There are Pride and Juneteenth events happening across the county. In Bolingbrook, a Juneteenth event is happening this Saturday, June 17th, and the Bolingbrook Pride Picnic and Puppies event is happening on July 8th, both behind Town Hall. Lastly, happy Father's Day to all the dads, father figures, and the men in our lives that step up every day. Find something fun to do at your Will County Forest Preserve this weekend. Thank you.
County Board Member Freeman.
Good afternoon. June is full of nationally recognized awareness days. Today is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day and Smile Power Day. That was a forced smile, by the way. June also is a time to celebrate Juneteenth, immigration heritage, Alzheimer and brain awareness, and LGBTQ plus pride. As board members, I encourage everyone to get out and celebrate one of these with your constituents. I was honored enough to be at the Village of Plainfield meeting this last Monday while they read the LGBTQ plus proclamation and provided a plaque to Plainfield Pride. I also had the opportunity to thank the village for their assistance while Mark Revis and I tried to help our constituents in our district. I'd also like to state that it has been a pleasure working with Mark Revis. Together, we've been able to help several constituents. And then finally, again, happy Father's Day to all of those wonderful fathers out there on the board and in our county. The Will County Forest Preserve, I'm going to help County Board Member Costa here, is celebrating with all of our fathers at the Will County Forest Preserves. They have on June 16th a fishing day, free fishing day at Hidden Lakes Trout Farm at Hidden Oaks Preserve from 10 to 4. Or you can go on June 16th from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. to the Monee Reservoir Visitor Center for a free fishing day. Enjoy the weather, get out and enjoy this beautiful county, and support. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Mueller?